On a fresh May morning in 2004, Copenhagen transformed into a city of dreams. The streets echoed with the cheers of thousands. Bells tolled from the towers of the Copenhagen Cathedral, and as the Danish flag, the Dannebrog, fluttered across balconies and marketplaces, a nation held its breath. Why? Because this wasn't just any royal celebration. It was the day Denmark's beloved Queen, Margrethe II, and her husband Prince Henrik, arrived in full regal splendor to witness the marriage of their eldest son, Crown Prince Frederik, to a woman the world was still learning about, Mary Donaldson, a commoner from Tasmania. But what followed that royal arrival wasn't just a wedding. It was a monumental cultural and emotional turning point, one that would reshape the monarchy, modernize its image, and ignite global fascination with a new kind of royal fairy tale. And it all began with that unforgettable entrance. It was a moment carved into the nation's collective memory. Queen Margrethe II, resplendent in a lilac gown shimmering with understated elegance, stepping out of her royal coach at the entrance of Copenhagen Cathedral. On her arm, Prince Henrik of Denmark, her ever-dashing consort, beamed with pride. But behind those serene faces, royal watchers knew the truth. This wedding wasn't just about two people in love. It was about the continuity of the Danish monarchy, the preservation of heritage, and the delicate balancing act between tradition and modernity. Because Mary Donaldson, a marketing executive born in Hobart, Tasmania, was not born into nobility. She had no ancestral titles, no European lineage, yet here she was, about to become the future Queen of Denmark. And it was Queen Margrethe, known for her sharp intellect, artistic flair, and deep sense of duty, who gave this match her most visible blessing. Her arrival said it all. This was a wedding not just accepted by the monarchy, it was embraced. Observers couldn't help but notice the regal authority in Queen Margrethe's demeanor that day. She didn't merely arrive, she commanded the space. Dressed in a flowing gown that whispered of royalty without outshining the bride, she stepped into the cathedral as both the sovereign of Denmark and a mother preparing to let go of her eldest son. Her every movement was steeped in symbolism, the subtle tilt of her head as she acknowledged the cheering crowds. The gentle nod she gave to the archbishop, signaling her readiness. The tight grip on Prince Henrik's arm, suggesting emotion she would never voice publicly. And behind those composed eyes, a woman who had seen the Danish monarchy through decades of change, scandal, political challenges, and now, a love story unlike any her family had ever known. It was perhaps fitting that Prince Henrik, a French-born nobleman who had long wrestled with the pressures of royal life, stood beside Queen Margrethe on this day. For Henrik, the journey from outsider to insider had been long, and often turbulent. He had once been in Mary's shoes, a foreigner trying to make sense of centuries-old protocols, Danish media scrutiny, and public opinion. But on this day, his role was clear. He stood tall and proud as the symbolic bridge between tradition and transformation. When the cameras caught him whispering something into the Queen's ear as they entered the cathedral, viewers speculated for days. Was it a private joke? A romantic reassurance? Or a heartfelt observation about their son? Whatever the words, their body language spoke volumes. This was a united front, radiating royal strength and emotional sincerity. Inside Copenhagen Cathedral, the mood was one of awe. The air was thick with incense and ancient echoes. Musicians from the Royal Danish Orchestra tuned their instruments beneath frescoed ceilings. Guests, in glittering gowns and tailored military uniforms, murmured politely. And then, the royal couple entered. A hush fell. The Queen's footsteps echoed across the marble floor, followed closely by Prince Henrik. They took their places in the front pew, beneath the cathedral's soaring arches, beside the very altar where Danish kings had prayed for centuries. It was more than a seat of honor. It was a throne of maternal judgment, and maternal pride. Would this Australian woman truly be ready to wear the weight of history? Could she become the face of Denmark's monarchy in the 21st century? Queen Margrethe's presence said yes. As the cathedral doors reopened and Mary Donaldson stepped into the sunlight on the arm of her father, cameras zoomed in. But behind her radiant veil and custom-made ivory gown was a story that had already captured hearts across continents. Just 4 years earlier, she was a marketing consultant in Sydney, enjoying an ordinary life filled with ambition, laughter, and café conversations. Then came the 2000 Sydney Olympics. A chance meeting in a pub. A young man who called himself Fred. A connection no one expected. That man turned out to be Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark, and the rest, as they say, became the stuff of royal legend. As Mary walked down that aisle, thousands of Danes watching on national television wiped tears from their eyes. Here was a woman who had fallen in love, endured the pressures of royal training, mastered the Danish language, and embraced a nation not her own. And waiting at the altar, in full ceremonial uniform, his eyes misting over, was her prince. When Frederik took Mary's hand at the altar, turning toward the archbishop to begin their vows, a wave of emotion swept through the cathedral. But none more poignant than the expression on Queen Margrethe's face. For a fleeting second, the camera caught it, her lips pursed with emotion, her eyes fixed on her son, and a glimmer of tears welling, just enough to let the world see the humanity beneath the crown. This wasn't just a monarch witnessing royal duty. This was a mother watching her son's life change forever. She had raised him for this moment, prepared him for the burden of kingship, trained him in diplomacy, public speaking, constitutional restraint. And now, she was passing the torch, not only to him but to the woman who would stand by his side. As Frederik and Mary sealed their vows with a kiss and turned to face the congregation as husband and wife, Queen Margrethe rose to her feet, leading the applause. The cathedral erupted. Outside, the cheers of tens of thousands echoed through the cobblestone streets. Flags waved, choirs sang, and carillons rang out across the city. Copenhagen had never looked so magical. For Queen Margrethe, this moment was more than ceremonial. It was deeply personal. It was the culmination of decades of service, and a signal that the next generation was ready to take on the mantle of royal life. As the couple exited the cathedral, hand in hand, Mary, now officially Her Royal Highness the Crown Princess of Denmark, the Queen watched with a quiet smile. Her son was now a husband. Her monarchy had a new future. And Denmark had a new princess. The emotional balcony appearance. Why Queen Margrethe handed Mary the spotlight. Inside the lavish royal banquet, what Queen Margrethe said in her toast that left the room speechless. Exclusive insights into Queen Margrethe and Mary's relationship behind palace walls, how the Queen navigated Danish politics and global media in the aftermath of the wedding. As church bells rang out and Copenhagen Cathedral emptied into jubilant celebration, Denmark wasn't done rejoicing. Not by a long shot. Because there was one moment the people were waiting for, a tradition as cherished as the royal wedding itself. It was time for the balcony appearance at Amalienborg Palace. The newlyweds had spoken their vows. They had kissed beneath ancient arches. They had walked hand in hand through the heart of the capital. But until they stood upon that famous balcony, waving to the throng of well-wishers below, the public couldn't truly breathe that final, euphoric sigh, "It's real. She's our princess now." As the royal motorcade made its way toward the palace, flanked by mounted guards in full ceremonial dress, the atmosphere was electric. Crowds surged against barriers. Danish flags waved like wildfire. The scent of spring flowers mixed with the salty breeze from the Oresund. Inside Amalienborg, Queen Margrethe stood beside Prince Henrik once again, only now, the cathedral's formal pageantry had been replaced with a giddy, festive energy. Her heels clicked on polished palace floors as she moved toward the balcony doors, waiting for the signal. And then, the moment came. It was supposed to be a moment for the monarch to wave. To greet her people, to share in their joy. But Queen Margrethe did something far more telling. She took a deliberate step back. She gently moved to the side, and with a sweeping gesture, ushered the newlyweds forward into the spotlight. It was subtle, elegant, and unspoken, but unmistakable. This was their time. And for the thousands watching in the square, and the millions tuned in from around the world, it sent a thunderous message. Queen Margrethe wasn't just welcoming Mary into the family. She was introducing her to the people as the future Queen of Denmark. As the crowd erupted into cheers, Crown Prince Frederik leaned toward Mary and whispered the words that would be replayed for years on Danish television, "I love you." Queen Margrethe looked on, her gloved hands folded in front of her, a smile playing at her lips. It was a rare moment of public affection in a family known for restraint. But it was also a sign. The Danish royal family was entering a new era. One where love and duty could walk hand in hand. As evening fell and Copenhagen's skies glowed in pink and amber hues, the royal household prepared for an evening of splendor. The official royal wedding banquet, hosted by Queen Margrethe and Prince Henrik in honor of their son and new daughter-in-law. Held in the dazzling halls of Fredensborg Palace, The banquet was a masterclass in royal tradition. Over 300 guests, including kings, queens, presidents, and prime ministers. Gold-embroidered tablecloths dating back to Christian IX. Crystal chandeliers bathing the ballroom in soft light, every floral arrangement tailored to Mary's Australian heritage and Danish symbolism. Roses, gum leaves, and eucalyptus, and at the head of the room, beneath royal portraits and flanked by honor guards in full regalia, sat Queen Margrethe, regal and radiant. Few expected the Queen to get personal. She was known for her composure, her clarity, her command of language. But when she stood to give her speech, the room fell silent, not because of protocol, but out of genuine anticipation. She raised her glass, looked at Frederik, then Mary, and began. "Today, I have not only gained a daughter-in-law, I have gained a daughter of Denmark." The room gasped, then applause. Queen Margrethe spoke of Frederik's childhood, his love of adventure, his restless heart, his longing for something more than royal life could offer. And then she turned to Mary. "You, Mary, have given him that something. You have given him love, stability, and joy. And in doing so, you have given Denmark a new reason to believe in the monarchy." Those words weren't rehearsed platitudes. They were real, raw, relatable. Even the most hardened political guests at the table were seen blinking back tears. Outside of the public eye, many wondered how Queen Margrethe and Mary truly got along. Royal insiders speculated. Was there tension, jealousy, cultural clashes? Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.